Hi, welcome back to TheWrap's live stream studio from South by Southwest. I am thrilled to welcome Adrien Brody, who's here with his own personal story called Stone Barn Castle. I didn't even know about this film. I just talked to Adrien at the Spirit Awards, and we were talking about his other projects. He's a pretty busy guy. But this feels like a really personal project, and it's the story of your buying a property in upstate New York and restoring it. It's a documentary.
Yes. It's
you need to speak in that guy.
Yes,
that is why it's
these
there.
These are just props, actually. They're not connected, but this one is. It is definitely the most personal story that I've told. Usually as an actor, you have a character to fall back on, and even though there's a connection and you're revealing truths about yourself, this one is far more revealing. In one sense, we chronicled a 7-year renovation of this really majestic, old, turn-of-the-century stone barn that I fell in love with upstate New York.
I mean, how did you happen to even...
That's an interesting story in and of itself. I had spent a lifetime dreaming about getting away and having a country house. My parents had a very small country house when I was a boy, and then they had to sell that to get a place in Queens, and I'd always longed for that. I love nature. There's a spiritual quality about being at one with nature. I'm very much, I appreciate architecture. I appreciate all of these elements. And I think I purchased this pretty much at the height of my newfound success as the result of The Pianist, and that was a beautiful thing.
You felt like you were needing somewhere to go?
I felt an increased sense of the need to find home and some place that I can retreat to and remain creative, and away from Hollywood, away from, I guess, the perception of who I may be, but more into myself. And I thought it would be a much simpler journey. I thought the renovation, which was a necessity because it was pretty dilapidated when I bought the place, was going to be simpler, and I was very idealistic, and I'm a dreamer. And it took 7 years, and so we silently documented this. My friend and fellow filmmaker, Kevin Ford, who was a wonderful creative eye, helped me capture all of this.
When you bought the house and you started the work, you started documenting it. Did you think you were going to make a film, or did you just think?
I thought I'd make well, it was multifaceted. We had set out to do a photo shoot, which was to kind of motivate us to do this very superficial renovation, so that the place was somewhat habitable and looked less in shambles. And I thought that would be an interesting thing to document, this apparent completion for the shoot, and then the lack of the real completion in reality. And I thought that would kind of the coming together of the neighborhood and all the local artisans and stonemasons and my family and my partner's family, and all of this effort that was made for this first chapter. And then I didn't realize how complex it was, and then that opened up a whole new chapter, and that the fact that superficial renovation was more metaphorical of the lack of the structural work that needed to be done, and that in life, that all that structure, the reinforcements come from the ground up. And so there are a lot of parallels. It's a really beautiful film. I'm really grateful that we've captured all of this, and I feel...
You just sort of found the money to do it, kind of. I imagine the renovation must have been like...
I've worked hard most of my life, and then we've this is my first home, essentially. And I kind of, part of what the documentary is about, this fantasia element of me just being inundated with all of this, and just, I was overly optimistic, and I think it's vastly entertaining. It's complete renovation porn for people who love, to see a renovation
I totally
project.
love that
and
stuff,
I do
by the way.
too.
I love old
it.
houses, and I love old things.
And so it is all of that. Plus, it has, I think, a much deeper story that I feel is universal and that so many people can relate to. I think we all have that desire for home.
You can kind of see in the film, also, sort of on your face, the sort of the moments where this is a lot harder than I thought this was going to be. This is like, also that's an interesting comparison to, I wanted to say kind of an interesting example because you come from quite a sophisticated background in the arts and, serious dramatic chops. You did not come to Hollywood sort of wide-eyed. I know this is so great. I'm going to be a movie star. I think you had a much keener degree of appreciation of what that whole world is and what's real and what's not real. And yet, you found your way to stardom, and then, you had your own kind of bumps along the journey until you came to The Pianist, which is, again, that's a performance for the ages. That really is. You've given us something very beautiful and deep forever in that character. Many of your roles as well, but definitely that movie, and I think you know that. And so, the ephemeral nature of stardom and the paper thinness of what Hollywood gives you, and also how it can kind of corrupt who you are. You sort of talk about that a little bit.
Well, you nailed it. That was the impetus for this. It wasn't so much about buying some elaborate property, and I think also, as challenging as it is to invite people into my home and into my personal life in a way, I feel it's my responsibility as an artist, and this was an artistic endeavor. The whole purpose of the restoration of this place was an artistic endeavor, and it was an opportunity for me to escape the trappings of celebrity that I was not attracted to retain the essence of the man who I am, and felt a bit concerned about losing, because as positive as all that energy was of this immense recognition that I received in becoming the youngest Academy Award winner ever, that shift is enormous. And the key to being a great actor is to be free of that sense of self and self-awareness, and to be observant of others and of real life. And if everyone is all of a sudden observing you, you have no opportunity to observe. Yeah. And to be free of being conscious of being observed. And so it shifts your ability to grow, and it's detrimental to an actor. Mm-hmm. And so I had to really shed that and run away from that in a way. And the reality is you can't really escape it. But what I liked was I set out on this quest for something real, some man's work, pickup truck, the dream of living in the countryside, make a home for my family, and rebuild myself and this thing. And the castle structure is a metaphor for the success that I had attained, and the ability to attain that was also a childhood dream. And both were far more complex than what they are perceived to be, even from myself, let alone other people's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Really amazing. So having gone through that process now, and having completed the film, and having come through that, how do you Where do you stand today, I guess I would ask.
It's a good question. I feel immensely grateful for the process. In one sense, I wish I didn't do it to myself. I feel that, in a way, it perhaps was even detrimental to my acting career, even though I felt the need for it at the time, because I did retreat from pursuing things. I wasn't really available for certain meetings. I didn't go after commercial projects. And I felt that the actor's journey should be based on merit and the correct values, not the box office results. And unfortunately, you can make the most film with the most integrity, and it is appreciated. And I do feel immense appreciation, and I'm grateful for that. But I think it doesn't translate on a business sense enough. Mm-hmm. And that disconnect is a bit unfortunate. But I pursued what felt authentic to me. Mm-hmm. And the challenges of this renovation definitely took a toll. But at the same time, we made something really beautiful with it. The renovation is complete. I am tenacious, and I persevered. Mm-hmm. And
you live there.
And I live there, and I made something really special in spite of all the obstacles. And really, you're only getting a glimpse of the obstacles because this was a 7-year endeavor, and we reduced it to 98 minutes.
Yeah, right.
But it was 7 years of a pretty much hellish journey of me believing that I could handle all of this with no experience in renovating a home and, managing it all. My dad and I were cutting the checks. I was out there in the field. I was, hiring local artisans. I was the contractor. I was the architect.
Oh my God.
I was going to India and getting sick and buying ceiling panels from palaces and old church windows, and I was in China buying stones from the markets, and it was an amazing journey. I was very excited to do it, and now I'm like, I can't even be there, because now I have more ambitions to produce, to direct, to of course act, and my work takes me away. Anyway. Mm-hmm. And so in a sense, it is wonderful. I have this place in my heart. I have this wonderful memoir in the Stone Barn Castle documentary, and I think it's something that people can relate to. They can perhaps relate to my own insanity and my own perseverance, but also the sense that we're all looking for the same thing. We all want to feel like we can go home to someplace and have that. And I think there is a disconnect in that. I think people do not remind themselves enough of how similar we all are, and how it's a struggle for everyone, including people who have received many blessings in their lives. And I felt that was important to share.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks. My pleasure. Thanks.